The smell of disinfectant clung to my jacket as I pressed my back flat against the wall. Along the hospital corridor, old linoleum tiles alternated white, greenish, like faded piano keys. I focused on them while Maria's voice ratcheted up in urgency. "You're embarrassing this family," she hissed, keeping her voice low but no less biting, leaning in. Her bun was a little too tight, giving her brow that stern tilt she'd inherited from our mother. "Mine needs support, not your computer fantasies. Look at you, 3 years of university for this?" I looked toward the closed door, beyond which our mother dozed in a world of whirring machines and soft beeping. Maria's husband, Paolo, hovered near the window, running hands through his thinning hair. At the end of the hall, 2 aunts in floral dresses pretended not to listen. I kept my answer measured, each word deliberate. "It's not a fantasy. Machine learning, Maria, a job. People do it." She shook her head, pitying more than scorn now, writing lines of code, searching for problems that don't exist. "Do you want people to laugh at us, or do you just not care?" Her lips pressed thin, a tremor running through her composure. Above us, the fluorescent light flickered. Outside, car horns from Avenida Almirante Reis cut through the quiet hum of the hospital evening. Lisbon was a city of rising hopes and old doubts, modern windows rising from centuries-old foundations. Maria, like so many, clung to those stones. AI was something for Americans, or, at best, Germans. Not for someone like me, not here. I kept silent. I wanted to say I cared. I cared more than she would ever know. My resolve went silent, sharp as glass, as I let the argument dangle. I was already halfway gone, mind scrambling between regrets, weaving home, borrowing money, failing to explain. I squeezed my knuckles tight until the ache replaced the sound of her disappointment. Down the corridor, Tio Hugo appeared, button-down shirt open at the throat, a scent of stale tobacco riding in with him. "You going to try the Facebook route?" He smirked, the others snickering. "Lisbon doesn't need another Silicon Valley clown. You should have gone to law school." My face flushed hot, but I did not answer. I looked at Maria, trying to stitch together everything I couldn't say out loud. The algorithm I was building to help radiologists, the way my ideas flickered late into the night, the hope that was at once so fragile and so stubborn. Paulo stepped between us, awkwardly, Franciscan in his calm. Let's think of your mother for now," he said. "Maybe later you can daydream." I nodded and left them, overhearing snippets as I walked away, wasting his life. Crazy boy, all theory, nothing for the table. They words clawed at me, long after I got out beneath the cold, gray Lisbon sky. The bus took me to my cramped apartment above Martim Moniz, a place alive with spiced air and voices from Morocco, Guinea, Nepal, Brazil. The city at night was a net of neon reflections and hurried footsteps on stone. I told my computer everything I couldn't tell Maria. I clicked the mouse, the blue glow shining back at me. Lines of Python code, medical images, ideas thrown against an uncertain world. That was the last night I saw my mother awake. The next day, the news came with the dawn. Maria called, "You should come." And when I arrived, she was gone, pale and peaceful and impossibly small beneath the sheet. We buried her on a Wednesday, the soil along Cementerio dos Prazeres damp from sudden summer rain. My family gathered close, their murmurs revolving around tradition, things lost, the names of children and saints. No one mentioned what came next for me. Grief rearranged everything. In the weeks that followed, silence settled into my life like silt in a riverbed. Messages from the hospital about my work dried up. Budget freezes, priorities reshuffled, a polite note with the word indefinite. I spent days hunched in that apartment, translating medical records, freelancing small AI jobs, the rent always a little late. Sometimes, on the way to a corner cafe for a galao, I ran into old friends. They always asked about the science thing, with a cocked eyebrow. The way people ask about failed bakery attempts or novel writing. I kept my answers brief, let them laugh. Every night after eating arroz, with whatever I could find, I coded until my eyesight blurred. I trained an algorithm that could see what the human eye missed, small patterns in chest scans, early warnings. It failed and failed and failed. I rebuilt it from scratch each time, mutely, stubborn as stone. Lisbon hummed outside my... There was nothing poetic about struggle. There was only routine and the resentment that follows when you feel invisible. A year passed. Toward the end of spring, an email pinged in my inbox. A Finnish company, MedVision AI, admired the tool I put on a programmer's forum. They wanted to talk. I kept my voice steady on the call, though my hands shook. Yes, I developed it myself. Yes, I can explain the convolutional layers. Yes, accuracy was high. They asked for code. Then a presentation. Then, suddenly, a job offer. Remote, but with a stipend to join pilot studies in Helsinki and Marseille. I had no savings. I sold nearly everything. My mother's heavy chest of drawers, my electric guitar, every extra chair and the rug in the hall. I bought a ticket, printed my code, and set off under the rough April skies. Helsinki was another world. White nights, quiet trams, strong coffee, strangers who became friends with a single smile after work. I worked 2 winters there, sometimes returning to Lisbon in the summer for a few weeks, always staying outside the center, Olivais or Chelas, never the Alfama or the Bay. I told myself I could never really come home until I had proof, something real, something they could not dismiss. Back at my desk, I honed the system, made it sharper, faster, more explainable. Under fluorescent lights, quite unlike Lisbon, my work was adopted by clinics in Marseille, then Madrid, then Porto. Quietly detecting early lung cancer, flagging subtle risks. People began to know my name, though it never seemed quite mine anymore. Success arrived less in a boom than in a series of polite notifications. The software was recognized by a medical journal. There was a panel invite, then a second. Eventually, MedVision AI sent out a letter. We'd secured a government contract, partnering with the public hospitals in Portugal. Implementation would begin at Santa Maria in Lisbon. They asked if I'd like to present at the hospital for the press event. I accepted, heart thumping with something like fear. When I stepped off the plane, summer pressed close, the city honey-colored and restless. I stayed in a cheap downtown hotel to avoid explanations. On the morning of the presentation, I donned my one suit and looked at myself in the mirror. Thinner, hairline a touch higher, but the same anxious hands. Santa Maria Hospital had changed little. In the lift, I caught my reflection, older alongside the grayness of the steel. I wondered if Maria or Paulo would come. They probably hadn't read the emails MedVision AI sent to my old contacts, but I had made sure someone in the family knew. I let the elevator open on the conference floor. The lecture theater filled with people I didn't know, doctors in white, journalists, a minister of health who wore expensive shoes. I sat up behind the lectern, the click of my USB stick loud in my ears. When the doors at the back opened, I saw them. Maria, Paulo, Tio Hugo, 2 aunts, awkward and uninvited, sitting by the aisle. Maria's bun was looser now, threads of gray at her temples. She didn't wave. The room fell silent as introductions were made. The weight of my resolve held me in place. I spoke about data and outcomes, spun graphs onto the screen, guided the audience through ROC curves and heat maps. I demonstrated, step by step, how the algorithm found tumors sooner, how it might have changed the outcome for people like my mother. Hands of surgeons and radiologists hovered over the demonstration computer, their skepticism slipping as the system caught what the human eye had missed. One by one, they nodded, hands folded or pens poised. Then the proof. A radiologist from the hospital submitted an anonymized scan, one that had stumped them for months. No clear answers, just a suggestion of something at the edge. Under the unflinching gaze of the room, I loaded the scan. The algorithm parsed, colored regions flaring on the screen, clear, unmistakable. A hush, deeper than before. The head radiologist spoke, voice careful. "We missed that. This could have changed things." There was nothing performative in his tone, no fanfare, just professional honesty. I saw Maria, her features drawn, watching not me, but the evidence crackling in real time above our heads. The minister leaned in, shaking my hand for the cameras. "Portugal is proud to be at the frontier with you," he said. The applause came, then the kind that begins nervous and builds into something real. I saw Paulo mouth, "Wow," to Maria. Tio Hugo looked away, jaw tight. After the photos, as the room emptied, the family lingered. Maria came forward, not quite meeting my gaze. Her voice was low, trembling with fatigue. "I saw what you did. That would have helped. Mai would have liked that." For a while, neither of us said anything. The silence was not heavy now. It was soft, suggestive of things left unspoken. I shrugged off the applause, not wanting it to fill the emptiness between us. It's for others now, too. That's why I did it." "You proved us wrong, Rui." The words hung, brittle, but her eyes searched mine, shy, regretful. I didn't want you to have to do that, alone." Somewhere beneath the surface, forgiveness began to fall. Paulo clapped me on the back, cheerful as ever. "Seems our science boy did more for Lisbon than all of us lawyers." He grinned, his pride awkward but genuine. Later, walking the hospital's outer ring, I stopped by the same corridor where Maria and I had fought. The walls were newly painted, the linoleum replaced by modern terrazzo, but ghosts of that